Good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas for what I hope is the first in a series of comparison videos where we look at two lighting systems side by side. And these comparisons are based on viewer input. Tonight we will be looking at the OLight Baldr Pro R light laser combo next to the Odin Tactical. We're going to start here in a fairly narrow confined area, less than 25 yards. This would be a defensive application. I have my headlamp on now. What I'm going to do first is turn the Baldr on, headlamp off. So now we're looking at the Baldr Pro R. Extremely easy to pick up that laser right off the tree, and then you can get a good idea here of what the beam looks like. I'm going to turn that off, and that is the Odin Tactical in the same area. So we're going to move deeper into the preserve and look at these two lights under a variety of different conditions and distances. This is another interesting area where, again, this is more of a defensive application. We have some apartments off to my left side, so, imagine just walking down this trail, even though you're relatively close to what we might call civilization, and, you encounter a defensive situation at these distances. So once again, we're going to turn the Baldr on, headlamp off. And what I found, I've taken this out to the LBJ grasslands and looked at it under really dark circumstances. I can pick up that laser pretty much as far as I can see. Now I can pick it up on the back of the tree there, but I can't really see any detail in the tree at this existence. Of course, looking at the trail, if you had, say, an animal charging you, picking up that laser is no problem. So this will go off. And there is the Odin. Of course, I can see as far as I have line of sight to that tree that I had the laser on. I can see markings on the tree. I can even see behind the tree. So we're going to move out into more open territory next and look at more of a hunting scenario. Okay, here we are. We looked at a couple of applications at more defensive distances, 25 yards and in. Now we're looking at a situation where we have light from the city in the background, a little bit of starlight out tonight, but no moon, and line of sight that in several instances exceeds 100 yards, probably more like 150. So I'm just going to pan around a bit here. So now let's imagine we're coyote hunting, and the question is, do you want to reuse that Baldr Pro R on your long gun? Well, let's get it turned on first. Headlamp off. And there we have it. Now I can light up these trees at a near distance. The laser I can pick up pretty much as far as I can see. I mean, way out to that far tree line. Probably doesn't show up on the iPhone. But out to that tree I was looking at straight ahead, I have pretty much no useful light on that at all. And then as we pan back around, yes, I can get some detail into that tree line. So let's turn this one off. There we go. I accidentally did the half press, and there's the Odin Tactical, and I have decent visibility. If I had a magnified optic, I could get a sight picture out to and perhaps just past that tree. Again, I'm thinking about, an average size coyote in profile, and of course as I pan over here, excellent visibility back there. What you're really seeing here is not the difference between lumens as much as you are peak candela. And that's what I try to advise people when you're looking at a weapon mounted light. You want to match the peak candela to your use case and pay a little bit less attention to out the front lumens. But I hope that was a good comparison. We'll look at a couple more, then call it a night. This is kind of an in-between, definitely long for a pistol, more a defensive rifle distance. In fact, probably a pretty average defensive rifle distance. We have some light from the city in the background as well as from the observation tower here. So we have some light pollution in the background. I don't know if you can see the reflection of the rabbit right there. He just ran off. In any event, let me turn the Baldr on, headlamp off. And so there's what the Baldr looks like. Okay, we'll turn this off. And there is the Odin. Again, it may not show up perfectly on the iPhone, but I've got visibility as far back as I could conceivably see into those trees. There's a few holes in the trees that I know about from past experience, and I can actually see what's beyond that tree line with the Odin. Here's another view from just a little bit closer. We're looking down from the walkway to the outer loop trail. Got a couple of big trees right there, and once again, you know the drill. On, headlamp off, and I can barely light up the front tree here. I can get just enough light on to be good to go. That one, not so much. If it was much darker out here, yeah, I'd get a little bit more brightness off that tree, but at this distance, that's the absolute edge of which I would try to sight something, at least without any type of aided optic with this particular light. So let me get that off. And there is the Odin. And again, you know, you're seeing the difference in peak candela between the two platforms. No laser, although OLight did just release another version of the Odin that does have a laser. I don't remember what the peak candela of that one is. There we go. Yeah, you're good to go as far as you have line of sight with this light. So this is one of my favorite areas in the preserve. I mean, distance-wise, I think we're, well over half a football field to the back of the tree line there. It's also a fairly dark area, so I would expect both products to perform reasonably well here. By now, you know the drill. Number one, Baldr on, headlamp off. There's actually just a little bit of dust and particulates in the air. I can actually see pieces of the beam. Now the illumination isn't that great all the way back there, but picking up the laser is pretty incredible. Okay, so that one off. And of course there's the Odin. With the dust blowing, you can probably see the beam. And of course I have, again, visibility as far as I'm capable of seeing into the trees. So beam-wise, that's the difference in peak candela between the two. And I'll pan around here just a bit. Look back off in this direction, and then let's switch the lights one last time. And again, we're back to the Baldr Pro R. So I hope you have enough information now to make up your mind. I'm going to pan down to closer distances right here. That is the side-by-side comparison of the OLight Baldr Pro R and the Odin Tactical Light. I hope you found this information helpful. If you'd like to see other comparisons, please leave a comment in the video and I will do the best I can. Thank you very much for your time.